today's episode of the Balancing Hormones Naturally podcast, where we offer actions and steps you can take today to start supporting and balancing your hormones. This is your podcast host, Leah Brueggemann. I am honored and excited to be your guide on your way to better understanding your hormone health and how it affects your everyday life. Hey ladies, so I have a very special guest for you. I brought on Kaley Swanson. I always forget everybody's like titles because they all have different things, but you're a nutritional therapy practitioner, I believe.
Correct.
Recently graduated, and I actually met you on Instagram, I think like over a year ago when you just started school. And we chat all the time about health stuff. And then we're actually in a business program together as well. So I just had to bring her on so we can have a super candid chat about all things health. And we're going to dive into a couple different topics here. So I would love for you first to kind of share a little bit about yourself. And then, of course, what got you started in the health field?
Yes. I feel like I have a little bit of a unique situation there because I feel like a lot of people, they kind of hit rock bottom to get into the health field, and then they figure out how to climb their way out. And then they help others. I am unique in the way that I didn't have to hit rock bottom, which is a beautiful thing. And I think that is my mom. So I'll go way back. I was sick when I was younger, but my brother was really the sick one, and I kind of got lumped in with him. So we went through 12 years of trying to figure out what was wrong with us. And then finally, my senior year of high school, I got diagnosed with celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disease. And at that point, I kind of took my health journey out of my mom's hands and put it into my own hands and decided that I would go gluten-free for the rest of my life. It took me about a year to make that decision, but when I made it, I stuck to it.
It's a transition, I feel like, to officially go gluten-free.
Yeah, and there's a part of something like that and deciding to start on this journey where people don't always talk about that you lose a part of yourself. Like I had grown up the way I was, and I was a little, and then when they told me something was wrong with me, I was a little scared that I would lose part of myself, and I didn't know what that would look like. So I think it took me some time to really accept that I was ready to make that change. But I did, and it was the best thing I ever did for myself. I'm so thankful for my past self for making that decision, and so thankful for my mom for getting me there. So really, that's why I started my business, Navigating Holistic, because I would love to be able to help more people before they get to that rock bottom. Going through college, I had just kind of started my gluten-free journey, and this was way back when nobody knew what it was. It wasn't on every single package.
Yes.
Like I remember one time I asked for gluten-free food, and somebody was like, "I'm sorry, you want free food? We don't have free food." Like, no, just gluten-free food. But yeah, so it was a whole different world. But that was another blessing in disguise because I had to go to whole food. I had to eat whole, real food instead of just switching out one ultra processed product for another ultra processed product. So anyways, so I went through college thinking that I was the weird one, I was the sick one, and I had to make all these decisions because of my sickness. And then towards the end of college, and then really once I, late 20s, I realized that that wasn't the fact, that I was indeed quite healthy. And it was my other friends that were now experiencing the decline in health. And it wasn't something that was, a black mark on me, but in reality, it was a very big blessing.
Yeah. I just have to chuckle when you talked about the gluten-free because like I remember when gluten-free was a trend. Like I think it's kind of pulled back a little bit. I almost feel like vegans becoming a trend now, but like gluten-free was very much a trend, and there was gluten-free everything, and it just cracks me up when people are like, "Oh no, I eat healthy, I eat gluten-free." And I'm like, that really means nothing. Like it really truly means nothing because you can find so many gluten-free things out there that are, like you said, ultra processed. Like people were so excited when Oreo came out with a gluten-free Oreo. And I'm like, why are you
Ugh,
excited about that? Like, I mean, literally, if you're going to just eat an Oreo, because you just want to eat an Oreo, like gluten-free, non-gluten-free, like there's literally no benefit either way. Right.
yeah,
Ah, anyways,
yeah,
I
it
feel
is.
like so definitely that was a blessing for you to, be forced to have to go the whole food because that's truly like, where your health is going to lie.
Yeah.
Um, so share more. Tell me more. Tell me more about what you do. Tell me the things.
um, yeah. So, and then more on when I went gluten free, it was just solely, to go gluten free to protect my future. I knew like what was in store for me down the road because my body was eating itself and destroying itself. But when I made that decision, it was interesting how many things came with it. Like things like headaches, where I didn't know it wasn't normal to have a headache every single day of your life. I thought that was normal. I didn't know that like people could actually think like I had brain fog. Like if I was going to have an exam, I just wouldn't eat before I had to like do it because if I ate, I knew that my brain wouldn't work. like, um,
Wow.
but yeah. So there's so many things, and I mean I am 12 years into this journey, and still every year I feel like I uncover a new layer of what health and wellness means for me. So yeah, so that's what I strive to bring to others. It's very unfortunate in the world that we are in right now that you really can't just passively be healthy. You have to actively work towards your health and wellness. You can't be in, you know, conventional lifestyle and expect health to find you. And trying to decide where I want to go from that.
No, I'm like, dang, the fact though that you said like you have to be actively healthy, I'm over here like, that is so true. I've never heard somebody say it like that before though. But
Because it's the
now that I
hard
think,
truth.
yeah, like now
It's
that
the
I think about
inconvenient
it, yeah,
truth. And it
it
is.
truly is. Like you literally have to go out of your way to be healthy. Like even when you're grocery shopping, people are like, ugh, healthy food is so expensive. And I mean, I think you can definitely do it on a budget. You have to be smart and you have to be smart, literally. But like the better question is why is unhealthy food so cheap? Like why do you have to work so hard? Like why aren't we taught this, in schools? Like, all the times I hear people be like, "Oh no, I eat healthy. Like I don't understand like why I'm not feeling well." And then I take a look at their diet or nutrition. I'm like, I don't know what your definition of healthy is. And that's the problem. Like there is like everybody has their own idea because there's no, I don't know. Anyway, I just kind of went off on a tangent there, but continue.
Well, and yeah, so I went to school for marketing and adventure tourism, which I love, which was the best. But and we learned in school about greenwashing. I like specifically remember sitting in class and my professor teaching us about greenwashing, how it works, and how to do it. And
Wait,
greenwashing,
how to do it?
like, yes, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Oh snap.
And in his defense, it wasn't like a sleazy thing he was talking about. He made it sound like, like you just make your product sound very healthy, and because that's the trend and that's what people want. So greenwashing is when basically you make your product seem healthier than what it is. You highlight specific things, that people think they want to see, like maybe low fat, you know, natural. You'll see my husband goes to the store and he'll be like, I didn't know which one to choose, so I just picked the one with the most no's on it. And I figured you'd like that one. That's greenwashing right there. Like just pretty much all the no's and all the, things, but they're not talking about all the things that are in it. So
I
yeah, so
think,
that is a huge problem, is
yeah.
all the information, all the misinformation, the failure to catch up with times by the different food
Mhm.
industries, and it all boils down to money. It does. We're in
Mhm.
this beautiful, not beautiful circle of
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's tap into greenwashing for a second there because I when I first heard of greenwashing, I don't even know when it was. I was like, what the heck is that? Because there are a lot of companies, I can even think like off of like my head, 1,000 of them, where they're like, I don't know, like there's no artificial fragrance in here. Um, it's toxin free. And I get a headache when I smell artificial fragrance. And so my nose is like a lie detector.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's artificial fragrance in there. They're like, no, it's not. We're certified, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't care what you're certified as. Like, my nose is like a lie detector. Um, and you see it everywhere. Like, for example, someone will be like, oh, organic, blah, blah, blah. And you turn the back over, and only like two of the ingredients are organic, like the rest of them aren't. But they can market that way because a certain percentage of it is organic. So, like, let's tap into greenwashing. Um, why this is why it's so important to look at ingredients. So, like, what are some things that when people are going to a grocery store or they're going to look for their skincare or their hair care or anything, like what are some things they should start with, like so that marketing doesn't dupe them?
Yes. Pretty much looking past the marketing is what it boils down to. And I mean, I get greenwashed still, right? And I'm how many years in, but I'll get something and I'll bring it home and I'd be like, dang it. I
Mm-hmm.
got greenwashed. I didn't actually check the back of this package, or I just trusted blindly in this product. But yeah, so when it comes to food, always turning it over and looking at that ingredients list is just key. Not the like percentages and stuff. Look what actually is in your
Mm-hmm.
product, and know that they go in order of how much is in there. So the first one on the ingredients list will have the most in the product. And pretty much, if you can't say it, don't eat it. If you're looking for whole, real foods that are gonna, support you and give you that nutrients that you need. Um, and
Yeah.
there's so many things to know, like not to eat. It's easier
Mm-hmm.
just to focus on, what to eat. And I kind of my like golden rule is always to go back to nature. And if it aligns with
Mm-hmm.
bringing me back to nature and how it would make sense to eat, back when, before we got into all these different industries that messed with our food system. Um, that's always going to win for me. But even supplements, like I went to school, Nutritional Therapy Association, with one of my colleagues, and she works for a supplement company. And she told me that they make the supplement, like they just formulate it and put stuff together if they like have leftover stuff. And then it's her job to go and research the different things and put on there what it could possibly like be for. So they're not like making it in order, for this thing. They're just kind of like throwing it together and then slapping some stuff on there and not
Oh,
having
snap.
like a backbone for it. And so that too,
Wow.
like supplements, oh man, they just kill me. It's like, oh, everybody just buys, with the marketing, they just buy exactly what they think they need. They want like long, luscious hair. They go and they buy something that says they're going to get long, luscious hair. But um, and it's a
So
waste of
true.
money. It's you're way better off spending that money on some beautiful organic pasture raised produce and meat than going
Yeah.
that route. But
I'm going to backtrack really quick. And this is probably, I don't know, if this really confuses everybody, just ignore it and continue on. But you said something about if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't be eating it. And I must have been on the wrong side of TikTok when I saw this, but it was like all of these fitness coaches, they're all male. Oh my goodness. This is not against men, but I just see this in the male fitness industry. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like that word that you can't pronounce, like that's vitamin B and blah, blah, blah. And you see that on food. And they are correct. Like that is quote unquote vitamin B in a very fancy biology, chemistry, blah, blah, blah word. But it's synthetic.
yeah,
It's added and it's synthetic and you aren't going to absorb it the way you would from food. And you see all the time people adding calcium, vitamin D, folic acid is a big one. And if you have the MTHFR gene mutation, folic acid fortified foods are your enemy. They
Mm-hmm.
are your enemy. And so, even if somebody's like, oh, no, no, that's just a fancy word for vitamin B or vitamin D, like you can eat that. I don't think so. Like synthetic additives they block up your receptors and they're causing more problems for people. And so if anybody is like, oh, that's, you can't pronounce it, like you can still eat it. I just want to pull back that argument because I see that a lot, especially in the fitness industry. And I don't think it's true because the more simple you get, the less ingredients you get, um, the more you can make things from scratch. I know it's hard, but you know what's going in there. You know what's going in there. And I do think supplements are necessary, but I also think that whew, it's
Yeah.
hard to find good ones.
I also think it's another thing that you have to do your due diligence on and know, is it a whole food source or is it a bunch of like cleaved off
Yeah.
chemicals that are then put back together? Because there's a lot of trickery you can do with food science. But you're right. And that is kind of how we got to where we are today, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of, when you break it down and you look at the molecular compound of it, it looks the same, or it is the same, it's written out the same. But when you compare them, they're not the same. When you compare how they react with your body, they're not the same. So fortified wheat is a big one, right?
Mhm.
If you have enriched wheat, then you're going to have all those long list of vitamins and minerals that come after it. But what happened there was they process wheat differently than what they used to. It used to be, sprouted and
Mhm.
or fermented, and
Yeah.
that makes our nutrients available to us. They changed it for ease or whatever they did, and then they started noticing that I forget which one this was. Something was happening with the human population that wasn't good, with the lack of the minerals, because we weren't getting them anymore. So they made a rule that you had to put these minerals back in. But like you said, they're synthetic and they don't act the same way. So
Mhm.
basically, what that tells you is our food is so pointless and nutrients deprived, hard word for
Yeah.
some reason, that it's basically pointless, which is why we need to add in these fortified meals. Um, and there's like a history with every single vitamin like that, where
Mhm.
like vitamin C, right? Sailors used to go out to sea and get scurvy and die and whatever. So they found out that if you bring a lime with you for every sailor out to sea, then they avoid that problem. So that's great. And there's a story with that for like basically every vitamin and mineral that we might see. So then what they did is created so many different band-aids to fix the problem, like the fortified synthetic, stuff. And that's kind of, it's snowballed, and that's where we've got. And I think I was in the same tunnel as you with TikTok, where I found somebody who was fighting against red dye 40. And she was saying
Oh,
that, yeah, and she was saying that people that are against that are, silly gooses who don't have any scientific backing and like all these things.
I saw
And
that.
yes, and I was like, oh, this is really painful. There is lots of people out there that here's okay. So there's lots of parents out there that can testify that they give their child something with red dye 40 and they act up and are berserk, right? And then you have this person telling them that they're crazy and they're making it up. And that's kind of like
Mhm.
where I always want to go back to, that you know better for your body and for your child than any random person that's preaching
Yeah.
some random scientific data that they are interpreting in their own way. Um,
Mhm.
and we have lost lost touch with that a little bit, where people are always looking for outside validation and always looking for
Mm-hmm.
outside recommendations. So the more I could get people to tap back into themselves,
Yeah.
would be awesome. But red dye 40 has literally 0 point in our food and is just there to make it look pretty, and it is derived from petroleum and all the things. So yeah.
It causes so many issues. I know exactly who you're talking about on TikTok. I saw her video and she was just gaslighting like all sorts of health professionals saying
Mm-hmm.
that like aspartame or anything
Yeah.
like, oh no, like you can have like the FDA approves like this much aspartame, like only in large doses is it going to actually poison you. Like, oh my gosh, you can absolutely have all your
And
dyes.
that
And
right there is
I'm,
another good point about how we got to where we are, because yes, for literally everything that you put in our food and in our or in our cosmetic products and everything, you can say, yeah, if you have this little bit, it's not going to affect you. And that is so true. Our bodies are amazing at what they do. They have protected us from so many things in our world and detox.
yeah,
But also, our world is getting more and more toxic by the day, and we're getting exposed to more and more things by the day. So it's not just that one thing, it's that one thing plus all the 1 billion other things that we are getting exposed to. And that's a lot of work for our body to do. So that's what we were talking about, where you can't just be passively healthy. You really need to control what you can, because there's a lot of things
yeah.
you can't control. And to not have to worry about those, not have to be affected by those and spiral your health goals, you have to, yeah, go back and control what you can control.
Yeah. And plus, like, if you're constantly asking your body to like work harder, eventually your body's like, I'm done.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's head into like personal care. Skincare, what you put on your skin is absorbed into your bloodstream. I don't know the exact percentage of how much of it is. Is it like
Mm-hmm.
70%?
Yeah,
Um,
and it depends on like what the substance is at the rate that it absorbs. But yeah, a large amount is absorbed into your bloodstream through your skin.
yeah. And that was like one of the last things I wanted to, because I ate, super healthy and I was still having issues, but I, held on to my skincare and my hair care and my makeup for a long time. And my cleaning products was another one.
Mm, yeah, yeah, those are huge. So when I was in college and I was gluten free. My house has always been smell free to a certain degree. If you lived with me, you got told in advance that you could not use Tide products. You had to use like a free clear detergent. And if you wanted to wear perfume, like do it in your own private space. Like don't be in my bathroom spraying it by me. So yeah, so everybody got warned before they moved in with me. But anyways, so it's fairly, free of major chemicals, but still we are college girls and college guys and whatever. So anyways, I was at least a couple of years into my gluten-free journey, and I just remember like sitting on the couch and feeling so horrible. I usually had a lot of, energy and ready to go and wanted to be social, but we had people over and I was just sitting there and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just like feel like attached to this couch. I can't
Mm.
get up. Like I don't want to like conversate with you guys. So I ended up going home the next week and was like, Mom, I'm not sure what's going on. I think maybe I like have gluten in my diet and it's somehow like seeping in and I don't know where I'm getting it from. And so we went to a doctor that tested me for all the things in my bloodstream. And when it came back that I had a toxic amount of bleach in my bloodstream, because my roommates had been cleaning with bleach and they were wiping the floors and the countertops. And then I was walking around with bare feet and absorbing it through my feet. And I was in tune enough with my
Wow.
body to catch it right away and be like, I'm off somewhere and I need to correct this. But I probably would have never ever linked it to the bleach. I wasn't that in tune back then in order to be able to link it if we wouldn't have got that testing back. So yes, that was a long story to tie in that cleaning products truly do matter just as much as the other thing. I Cleaning products and makeup products are another thing where it's like it's not worth my time to learn all the no's. um,
Yeah.
But I really love the app Think Dirty. You've probably talked about it.
I love that app.
Yes. And that is so easy, just to be able to look stuff up and be like, oh, okay. But also, we really need bare minimum things. Like for cleaning, I literally use vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and water pretty much are like my major
I use
things.
citric acid sometimes too, like with my baking soda to clean my
Yeah.
toilets.
Yeah. I guess I infuse my vinegar with my lemon peels.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah. And then skincare, I only use water and oil pretty much is all I do.
Wow.
And I feel like the more you simplify and the more you take out, the better your skin gets. I tried to get fancy like a month ago and add in, it was an oil and it was from a company that I absolutely love, all of their products, but they had made like a face oil with a bunch of essential oils in it. And I added that in, and then I added in like 3 other things. Like basically I just added a whole regimen onto my face when I have only washed my face with pretty much water and oil for however many years. And my face was not happy with me. It was so mad at me for adding all these things. And I broke out all over like my chin line, which I
Wow.
don't break out really at all. And it was like all over, whatever. So that was interesting, where that was a company where I fully trust them. They are very transparent with all of their sourcing. I can look at exactly what farm it came from and where it is and how it's processed. But my skin was still like, we don't need this. We got our own like microbiome figured out. And we don't need you to come in here messing with it.
Yeah.
So I went back to my water and oil, and it's fine.
Yeah. If it works for you, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Gosh, no, there's so many things. I love the Think Dirty app. The only thing that I don't like about it is it doesn't have every brand on there, which,
Yeah.
Eventually it will get there. And my issue with that mostly is that like when I come across something new and I kind of want to look at it, sometimes it doesn't have it. So then you have to do the deep dive into the ingredients yourself. But honestly, like my personal like rule of thumb is just look through the ingredients first and look for fragrance.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you rule out fragrance, you've ruled out like 99% of like products. So like if it doesn't have fragrance, then maybe it's worth your time to like look into other things and like look, some people use essential oils. So like that's
Yeah.
a marketing thing. So like if they use essential oils, like it's going to say it on there because that sells. But anyways, yeah, it's a whole trip. That's why I like to find people that I trust. And I'm like, what do you use?
Yeah.
Tell
Right.
me,
Can you
please.
just inform me?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what's our next step? Like now that we are looking at our ingredients and we're looking at our skincare, we're looking at our hair care, like what's next to like being healthy?
Yes. Pretty much just keep simplifying, keep getting rid of the things you don't need. I think a huge step is just I say being intentional. Being
Okay.
intentional with what you're doing and how you're feeling. I think there is such a, like I talked about before, a huge misconnection or disconnect with our own innate intelligence and tapping into that. So the more you can, sure, go eat whatever diet that you've been eating, but tap into how you feel before and then how you feel after, and you can make your own connection. And it's been, slowing over time, but I don't even crave or want any of, the like Doritos is always my uh marker or whatever that I say that I know what level I'm at like how many Doritos per year I have, because it used to be like, I like Doritos, and then it would be like if I see them at a party I'll have them, and then now it's like I think 2 years ago I had like one Dorito, but like I'll have like one Dorito, I'll notice like 30 minutes later, oh, there's that pesky headache that like doesn't let me think and just makes me feel blah, and it was caused by that one Dorito, and I know that because I paid attention. But so just things like that where it's like make the connection, and eventually I promise you it won't be this thing where you're taking away your favorite food that you just really want to eat. you're not even going to want it anymore because you're going to make that
Mm-hmm.
connection that that's how it makes you feel. And this food makes you feel better. And that goes
Yeah.
with everything. Yeah. Just really tapping into how you are on a, regular basis.
And learning to cook. Like I I am not the most like I make really good food, but it's basic. Like, and um one of my friend's moms, like I she made this amazing meal when I was in Colorado, and it was all like gluten free. The only like dairy she had used was some Kerrygold butter, and it was like gourmet. Like I kid you not, it was. She made these muffins that were like the most bomb ass muffins. Like you wouldn't even know they were gluten free. You wouldn't even be like, oh, it's good for a gluten free muffin. Like it was just a good muffin, period. And I was like, dude, can you come cook for me? Like, because it was amazing. The meal was so good. She made dessert, all of this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I need to put some more effort into like making these meals. Eating healthy should taste amazing. You just have to practice it.
Yeah. Yep. Food. The more nutrition dense it is, the better it tastes. The good taste that you're tasting is nutrition if you're eating, a real meal. Otherwise, it's pretty much kind of chemicals and fake food because a lot of our food system has, hyper palatable food. So it tastes good to everybody because they've stripped basically away all nutrients and then added back on top of it, the fat and the sugar, but not the good kind,
Yeah.
to make it palatable. So it makes it cheap food, but it doesn't satisfy that nutritional need, which is why you keep going back for more and you're never satisfied and you're always snacking. So if you go towards nutrition dense food that tastes delicious, is full of nutrients, you're going to be satisfied. And you're not going to binge eat like, I don't know, an egg. I just had an egg, so it's sitting here. Yeah, I mean, you can be craving an egg all day long, but when it comes down to it, you're going to have one or two or whatever, and then you're going to be done. You're not going to binge eat it. It doesn't work like
Yeah.
that when you're having, quality food because your body becomes, satisfied and you're done. But I think just going to whole food, like we talked about, my meal this morning was literally, what was it? Eggs, mushrooms, green beans, bacon, and some ramps, which are like an onion. All of those are like a specific food item. And I just put them all on a plate and ate them as a medley. And it was delicious. It was amazing. And I think another thing that helps with kind of making your food taste good is learning the different cultures of spices. So, you can be like, oh, I'm in the mood for some Asian food tonight, and I'm going to pull out my, rice vinegar and soy sauce or amino acids and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been super helpful for me in learning how to make these very similar items that, we have weekly taste and look completely different.
Yeah.
But
Like seasonings are good. I totally agree with the whole like your body, you just come back and keep snacking because your
mhm.
body's like, I didn't get what I needed, even though you got a lot of calories, you didn't get nutrients that you needed. Um, that is my big issue with artificial sweeteners. Like, I actually would prefer people to just have a little bit of like raw sugar or a little bit of coconut sugar over like artificial sweeteners. Like, balance it out,
Mhm.
support your blood sugar because you are tasting sweet, but you're not getting sweet.
Yeah.
And I think your body knows. And then that's why people like binge eat or, this is probably not a good episode for you if you have an eating disorder. I'm sorry. We're not talking about that. That's completely different. But like, they'll sit down and eat like a pan that of brownies that they made with like monk fruit or stevia. Like we're not even talking about like, the gut effects of that, but like it's because they didn't actually get what, they were craving in the first place, which was probably magnesium from the cacao.
Yeah.
But
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like we have all these trends that are, yeah, fat-free, sugar-free. And it's like, no, have the fat, but have good fat. Don't have the vegetable oil that is rancid and is going to wreak havoc on your body have the quality butter or coconut oil or duck fat or all the other things. And sugar too. Yeah. I mean, I'm not against sugar. It's here for a reason. It goes back to my, I am one with we are nature. So I have no problem with maple syrup and honey and whatever else you want to use. But yeah, don't pour it a cupful and everything. You don't need that. But at the same time, if you have reached a point where you crashed your blood sugar and you're craving sugar, then I'm all for not denying that. Like if you've reached that point, then you probably do need a little bit of a sugar kick because your body is trying to survive and it's trying to get you back into homeostasis. And then in the future, you need to look at what you did to get there and avoid that, because that is not good if it keeps happening over and over and over again. But that's tapping into your body and listening to, what it wants and what it needs.
Yeah. Oh, so many good things here. Okay. We're going to take a wide pivot. Okay. You ready, guys? So we have had so many questions in the Facebook group and in my DMs about this COVID vaccine. So let's talk about the health ramifications, especially like the menstrual cycle ramifications of this quote unquote vaccine. I'll let you have your rant and then we'll just kind of like go from there.
Oh, it's a hot topic. And honestly, I find it goes back to marketing like everything else. So much money is being put into marketing this product for us without any real consideration about who needs it, who does not need it, who it might be detrimental to their health. And especially things like kids, like they are going in to have this approved for children, like 6 months to 12 years they're working on right now. And what are the statistics for kids on COVID and deaths? They're like none. They're like null. I mean, there's whatever, but compared to, so I saw a study that they came back and they're all excited because the kids were comparable to the adult control group. But when you look at that, that's not exciting. There was a lot of things that popped up in the control adult group and a lot of symptoms that come from getting this thing. So that's where I struggle is like, we are just it becomes very one-minded. It becomes my way or the highway, and people are getting pressured into it by this mega campaign that says, get it or you're a bad person. I hung out with my friends this last weekend and he had just got the first one. And he was just telling me, he's like, I don't know why I needed to get it. I already got COVID and literally nothing happened. I just had to quarantine. I felt fine. Everything's fine. And yet I have to get it. And he said that his grandma would not see him until he got it. So that's why he got it. And he's like, and he said that, it's not his decision. Or no, what did he say? He basically said that he didn't get it for himself. He got it from someone else. And that's the important thing. And that is such a red flag for me because I'm like, no, because you are the one that needs to deal with anything that could happen from this. And yeah, there's just a lot of markers there that make me cringe. And in the whole thing, we have completely forgot about our natural immunity.
And the fact that like, I can never pronounce these, but one of them is not, the study isn't even done till 2023. 2023.
Yeah. I mean, long-term B study is vaccine. I'm so used to not being able to say the word on Instagram without getting censored. The long-term studies, are not complete and they won't be. And it's only right now under emergency authorized use, which they're looking to get past that. But anyways.
So basically everyone that's getting the vaccine right now is technically part of the study, but nobody is really telling them that.
No, they're not. And I saw an interesting post yesterday. I was on somebody's Instagram where he's a part of the J&J study, and he was walking through the process of what it was like. And he basically said he's fine. He had one night of some really bad chills and shakes and fever and all that. And now he hasn't had anything. He has a lot of nosebleeds, which he doesn't think is associated. So I'll let him have that one, but seen some other things. But he was saying that none of his experience was captured via the process that they capture it by, just because of how flawed the study is. And the other thing is with these participants, they take the healthiest participants they possibly can,
Yeah.
So it's not, yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess what scares me about the COVID vaccine is it's not actually a vaccine. It's more of like a gene treatment, basically, mutation. And it's not going away. Like it's not like you can detox any of that. It's going to continually
Yes,
be affecting
that's
you.
been killing me on like my health like Facebook groups and stuff, where people are like, what's the detox? And people are giving them detoxes. And it's like, no, that's not, where are you pulling that from? That's not a detox. What are you doing? The best thing you can do is support your body, I think. But yeah, it's brand new technology, which I really tried to drive home to my followers before it came out, just so that they are aware and they know it's not just like any other vaccine that's on the market. It's a totally new one, and they have been trying to develop something like this for many, 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 many years, and they have all failed. They have all resulted in they haven't made it past animal studies because they've all died or become infertile or all
infertile.
things.
That's the thing
Yes.
that scares me. Yeah. So my whole point of this is listen to both sides. And if you decide that you want to get it, more power to you. I'm not telling you not to get it. I'm just saying educate yourself, because it really frustrates me when people are like, I'm getting it because I educated myself and all of that is bullshit or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just come into it with an open mind. And same thing with people who are anti-vaccine. They're like, I'm anti-vaccine because I educated myself, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, did you really though? Like, have you looked at studies? Like, have you talked to various people from both sides who are educated in it? Like, have you listened with an open mind? Those are my biggest things, because I guess the biggest red flag for me is the infertility. Like, it has to be the infertility. Like there's just there's people I personally know. Like, this isn't somebody like in a study. This is somebody I personally know who had complications in pregnancy after she got the vaccine. I've had people, and people with insane cycle issues post-vaccine as well. And I'm sorry, but that's not a coincidence. Like, if you've never, ever, ever had an irregular cycle until you got the vaccine, like, isn't that a red flag? Like,
Yeah. And I 100% agree with you. I think that's the main problem, is that one side is getting, well, the interesting part is one side's getting drowned out, but honestly, not like we're getting loud, which even though getting censored on an unreal level.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of things against the I don't like the word anti-vax, but like medical freedom, maybe the medical freedom group that are against. There's not a huge budget. It's a very, like, somebody told me the other day that a doctor that was being vocal about it, they're like, yeah, because he's making all the money from it. And it's like, no, he's not. Like, no, you lose your like credibility and your career by questioning things like this. They drag your name through the mud by questioning things like this. There is no possible positive to getting on this bandwagon besides maybe helping some people. And then on the other side, it's every social media platform, every so much money. It kills me how much money goes into this, when it's like, if you would have taken that money and put it towards anything else on like the real health and wellness spectrum instead of another Band-Aid effect, like, what could you have done with that? That would have been great. But I follow because I do try and see all sides. So I follow a couple of the makers of, I think, the Moderna vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at her stories yesterday. She was answering like some question box stories, and they were all questions about kind of what we've been talking about, some of the real concerns that have come up for people,
Yeah.
and some of the real life stories we have seen over and over and over and over again, not just one time. And her response to everything was just no. Like, does this cause infertility? No. Does this do this? No. Like, and I'm like, this is what got me from the beginning, is one side can dig so far into everything and explain and be like, this is where I'm coming from. And then there's another side that is just like, no, just trust the science. And it's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but what is science? Right?
Yeah.
Science is ever evolving. Science is trying to figure out something. Science is never settled. Like, that is just wow. And the other thing is, science is constantly, you guys, trying to reproduce or imitate nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, masks are funny. Masks, like the whatever, the big one, the N whatever. Masks, what they did with that one was look at how the nose works. And they copied what the nose does. And it's like, oh, and you think, I'm sorry, you think that you did that better than how nature did that? Hell no.
Yeah.
No, you did not. And we just found out about like the microbiome, like how many, like less
Mm-hmm.
than 10 years ago. And do you know how much of a major factor that is for our health? Like, how many new things we're constantly finding out every single day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, we don't know everything. And that's my big problem. It's
Well,
when people say that they do. And it's like, no, you don't. The more you know, the more you know you
the
don't know. So
exactly. Exactly. And um I okay, this we're going off on like a different route now. So that is one of my biggest issues with this COVID vaccine is the fact that like people are like so many more people have died from COVID than have had complications with the vaccine. So get the vaccine. And I'm like,
mhm.
but so many of the numbers are skewed from the COVID, like the flu, whatever that is. And then secondly, they're choosing healthier people for the vaccine. And the fact that there are so many people with issues with that should be so many red flags for you. Um, and I saw some doctors comparing it to like the the chances of you getting an issue with the vaccine are like less than you like dying from a car crash or something like that. That's how they were putting it into comparison. And I'm like, yes. And I always like to weigh, like what are the pros of getting the vaccine and the cons? And then what are the pros of getting COVID and the cons? And like the survival rate for getting COVID is so high. It's so, so, so high. Like, why would you want to get a vaccine that is experimental and can cause infertility? Like, that's my biggest issue is the infertility aspect because like I see it everywhere, and like infertility is already on a rise. Like just in the past like so many years, like there are so many things going on with infertility, whether that's female or male infertility. And now we have a quote unquote vaccine that's causing more infertility. Like,
Yeah,
sorry, that kind of
no,
went down a
and
different route.
it's 100% being able to, yeah, weigh your risks and make a decision for yourself. My family, my whole family had COVID. My husband was under the weather for a couple of days. I lost my sense of smell for like 2, and then I was fine and got it back. And then we never separated from the kids because I was ready I kind of separated from my husband at first because I didn't want to be down at the same time with 2 kids.
Yeah.
But then once we both had it, I was like, well, whatever, we'll just get it over with. My kids never showed a single sign of it ever, not one. They're perfectly fine. And now we're fine. And our 93-year-old great grandma had it. She's fine. All of our grandparents have had it. My dad had it. He had a heart attack young and then completely changed his lifestyle and is doing absolutely awesome. But it's fine. He was down for a couple days and now he's fine. And my mom wasn't down at all. She was kind of like me,
Mm-hmm.
fine. So I think from the beginning, like I remember last year, right, when it was like unknown and kind of scary and like, what do we do? I had a lot of friends, honestly, that I have a lot of nursing friends, and then I had a lot of friends in like the Twin Cities area that got it early on. And the only reason I knew is because I had private conversations with them, and they'd be like, hey, don't tell anyone, but I got this. And it wasn't bad. And like, I mean, they were just like, I was down and I'm fine. And it was fine. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
why was that a secret? Like, why aren't we telling people like, yeah, I got it and I'm doing good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like people were scared to be like, I got it and I'm okay. Because there's some people that get it and aren't okay. Yes. But there's also a lot of unhealthy people in the world that
Yeah. And that's where I sit, because like I'm not going to sit on that like survivor bias of like, I got it, I'm fine. Like, so everybody's going to be fine.
yeah,
I don't agree with that. But, and I know you don't either, but
no,
it's
yeah,
just the
it's just
whole
making
like,
your own decision, right? So from the beginning,
yes.
I was fully comfortable with getting it, and our chances of being fine, I thought were pretty good and pretty high. Um,
And that's like the whole thing, like people quarantining, people like putting hand sanitizer on everything. And even like, what was the donut company? Krispy Kremes, like giving free donuts if you get the vaccine. And I'm over here like, we're putting so much money behind this.
yeah.
Why? Why can we not put money behind education and health?
Oh,
Like if you change your diet, you change your lifestyle and you
and
stop
we're what,
eating
like over a year?
McDonald's.
We're over a year into this, and there's been none of that. I remember the this time last year when like the 2 weeks first hit, where like everything
Mhm.
shut down. I went to the store like the rest of the world, and while everybody else was getting toilet paper, I was going for the vitamin C, the vitamin D, the zinc, and the
Mhm.
shelves were fully stocked. And
Mhm.
that was my big like red flag, where I was like, what? Why is nobody going through for like immune supporting things that
Mhm.
you're gonna want in your medicine cabinet? And also, all of the produce was fully stocked. Yes, these cereal boxes were all gone and the canned foods, but the fresh produce was fully there. And I was like, you guys, it's 2 weeks. We're going into a 2 week point. Like, this isn't a year
Mhm.
where you need all of your cans. This is 2 weeks. So yeah, that was a big like wake up for me, where I was like, there is a big disconnect here on,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's where I think the more you can empower yourself and teach yourself, and learn from yourself, the better off you're going to
Yeah.
be.
I, yes. I mean, I could talk about it all day. I just think there's so much money behind this marketing. And honestly, I'm going to be really honest, keeping people unhealthy, because that is what keeps people buying pills. That's what keeps people like, relying on this, because, you aren't empowered and you aren't, even educated. You don't have to be a doctor to understand your body and understand your health. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be a doctor to like go out and educate yourself and understand what is good for you and your family. And because everybody that kind of bucks the trend gets silenced, everything remains a theory. Like that's one of my biggest like pet peeves, is the fact that like technically when different doctors talk about this, they have to say it's a theory, because guess what? There's no money behind it because they
Mm-hmm.
can't get funding to study it.
Yeah. And yeah. And it's just, the science is slowly catching up with the wisdom that we used to hold, and the ancient traditions that we used to hold, with like, I mean, even Ayurveda, and like my favorite recently is like yoga practices and meditation and stuff, which used to be like
Mm-hmm.
this whole like woohoo, you're crazy, like what kind of thing, when people would talk about how much better you feel and all those things. And now finally the science is catching up to it, where it's like, no, there's actually
Mm-hmm.
scientific backing on how impactful that can be for you. So now it's becoming okay to talk about without being like, I don't actually believe in this. Like, you believe what you want, but like,
Yeah.
so there's so
Ugh,
many things, Leah, so many things.
I know. I could literally talk about it all day, because they jump down your throat if there's like, you know, any like natural thing that you could do, or any,
Mhm.
like even somebody just understanding their body, like wanting to know more, um, they get pounced on because it doesn't feed the medical system, and um it's really sad, people have to pay for all of that out of pocket, because insurance doesn't even cover it. But
Mhm.
they know that to actually get results, you probably need to step outside. Yeah, I could rant about that all day long.
I know. I know. And like I said earlier, am like 11 or 12 years into my, holistic journey. And so now I feel confident and I have had my own, success, and I've seen over and over and over again what I can do
Yeah.
for my body and how changing my environment can, change my body's outcome. But when you're starting and you are going against the grain, it's scary. And you're being told by
You're
every single
stupid.
outlet that you're going the wrong way and you're dumb and like this is all just woohoo, um, whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's it's hard to buck the trend, but like also it's hard to trust yourself sometimes when like even when Landon will get sick, or he got a diaper rash the other day, not the other day, the other week while I was gone.
Oh.
And I came back and I was like, oh, like I know what this is. Like you need to put Silver Shield on it, and like you need to give him some probiotic, all this kind of stuff. And boom, like it's better, instead before this, I'm sure I would have like called the doctor because it looked really bad, and like
Mhm.
wanted to put him on a steroid cream or whatever, because it's hard to trust that like you do know best, and
Yeah.
look into things. Well, this was an insightful conversation. I hope that you guys at least enjoyed the conversation. I hope you learned some things. I'm sure we scared some people too, but that's okay. We still love you, even if you disagree. But how can people work with you, Kaley? How can they find you? How can they learn more about what you do? Give me all those details. What programs, coaching, what do you offer?
Yeah. So the best way to find me is on Instagram. My handle is navigating holistic. Um, and there's a thing in there if you want to look into working with me. But I help people make, sustainable and simple lifestyle changes that addresses their environment and the way that they're expressing health. So I work with people one-on-one, kind of like you do. I don't have a coaching program yet. But yeah, so that's the best way to find me if you need help making some of those changes.
Oh, love all of that. Okay.
Can
I
I
will
plug
link
one
everything.
thing before we, since
Go
it's
right
already so
ahead.
long? One of the things that I usually like to drive home, but we didn't get to because we covered so many different other things, is just that, which we kind of did, but you're in charge of your own environment. And I hear so many people um, think that they are a victim of their heredity, that if their parents had it, they're going to have it, that it's just like doom and gloom, like, fine, Kaley, that's fine, but I'm sure you have good genes and
Yeah.
like you're just, all perfectly healthy or whatever. That's not the case. Like, if you look at my family line, it is riddled with very young onset of Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, dementia, cancer, all the things, all the things. It's not good. But it doesn't predict my future because
Yeah.
our genes have the ability to express themselves based on the environment that we're in. And the blueprint that we're given can make, like, I forget the exact number, but it's like 400 million. Oops, alarm's going off. 400 million different human beings. So you have like 400 million different paths you can take depending on what you put around and in your body. So I just want to plug that because you're not a victim and you're in charge of your own
Yeah.
health.
Oh, no, it's true. It's true. Um, and yeah, especially people are like, heart disease runs in my family. Like I'm doomed. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Be active. That's my new phrase. Be active in your health, not passively sitting by.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to put everything in the show notes so people can get a hold of you. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Balancing Hormones Naturally. If you found this helpful, I would love for you to share it with a friend and post it on your stories and tag Balancing Hormones Naturally podcast so we can get this message out. You can find me on Instagram at Leah_BRUEG, and I would absolutely love to hear from you.